What everyday skill becomes suspicious if you're too good at it? Recognizing faces. I was approaching the check-in counter of a hotel I didn't remember being in before when the desk clerk welcomed me by name. I was visibly startled. His coworker explained he's got a freakish memory. I checked later, I had been there 3 years before. Calm. People accuse you of being cold if you are not as agitated as they are. Cards. Tim, wanna play cards? Me, sure. Gambit routine with lightning speed. Tim, not for money, right? Knowing where people keep items on their person. Friend will be looking for his keys or phone and I'll know what jacket pocket he left it in. Had a neighbor catch me while I was taking groceries out of my car and ask if I knew how to open locked doors as they locked themselves out by mistake. Went over to their door, took out a credit card and shimmied my way in no more than 5 seconds. Probably was bittersweet for them. My boss locked herself out of the shop last week and I did this. We are getting new locks and a security system now. But if you had told her how easy it is a week ago, she wouldn't have given a shit. Walking silently. It's always a good skill to have to be able to be quiet in a moment's notice, but do it too well, and you start appearing behind people and freaking them out. How long have you been there? Type things. My so's parents' house has hardwood floors that everyone just stomps around on. I don't like making noise when I walk, so according to them, I sneak around their house and scare them unintentionally sometimes. Able to quickly convert between ounce and gram. The recipe calls for an ounce of flour. I weighed it out and left it just shy of an ounce. Don't need to catch a felony charge, mom. What? Me? What? Edit. Thanks for the gold. There's a reason that we does are 28 and not 28 point whatever. I always thought it was just easier. It's easier and a lot of states go up on how illegal it is at the full ounce. Also, it's common for cops to weigh it still in the bag, which usually weighs more than a gram. You could bring up that they didn't subtract tear in court, and I think that would hold up. A couple of years ago, I locked my keys in my car in a Walmart parking lot. I went in and asked if they could help me. 2 employees came out with a Jimmy. The one guy made a bet with the other that he could unlock my car in under a minute. He then proceeded to unlock my car in 15 seconds. I told him thanks, you must have a lot of practice. To which he laughed and walked away. How much did he win from the bet? I don't remember. The only reason it stuck out in my memory is how quickly he opened my car and how smug he looked when he laughed at my comment. It's really easy to jimmy a car if you know what's inside to visualize. You're just hooking a bar. It's just if you don't know the interior, it's basically impossible. Edit. Jesus Christ, my highest rated comment by magnitudes, and it's the one that paints me as a car thief. Someone give me a decent job so I'm not on Reddit half the time, please. I get that this is kind of suspicious, but at the same time it is shockingly easy to open a car if you know how to do it. They keep upping the appearance of security without fixing some of the most basic flaws. Edit. People have been correctly noting that it's not just cars but many other kinds of locks as well. This reminds me of a saying that my dad stole from somewhere. Locks are a great way to keep your friends out of your house. Eavesdropping. I just passively listen to other people a lot when I'm alone, even if I'm doing something else. It gets really embarrassing when you bring up information you heard from their conversation forgetting that you weren't involved, or when you laugh at a joke said by someone across the room. Edit. My previous grandma frustrated me. Genuine kindness. My father was such a good soul, and people were suspicious about his kindness sometimes. Tying a noose. At basic training I got tasked to help the drill sergeants create their haunted house battalion competition. Long story. My drill asked if anyone knew how to tie a noose, and I whipped out a perfect one in only a few seconds. He just looked at me and said, "Private." What the fuck? I just googled that, and the smart result, I don't know what the name for the system is, was my country's suicide hotline. Huh. I got the same. That's actually kind of nice. Whereas I got as far as how to tie before Google auto completed it to a noose, and then took me to WikiHow. Google clearly wants you dead. I don't think it's really an everyday skill, but being able to tell somebody by the sound of their footsteps When friends or family approach my door, I know who's about to knock. I love creeping them out by saying, "Come in, name here." You can tell a lot by the sound of footsteps. Who is it? Are they angry, happy, relaxed, drunk? Are they wearing shoes, heels, barefoot? Though I personally have a habit of tiptoeing everywhere. The removal of stains. I like to use lots of bleach and get the you must be used to cleaning up the murder scenes. I like the smell of it. If I was cleaning up a murder scene, there are way better chemicals than bleach. I'm a bit disturbed that you know of better chemicals than bleach for cleaning up murder scenes. Does it make it any better that one of my friends has a doctorate in chemistry and another is a crime scene cleaner? You can't say that and then not suggest the better stuff. Typing. I'm definitely going to say typing. I type at a little over 150 WPM. I've been repeatedly accused of faking it, which sounds funny until it's your co-workers and boss saying it, calling your work into question. Edit. Holy crow. Thanks for my most upvoted comment. To answer a couple questions, I'm a writer. I use a QWERTY keyboard and I've been typing for a minimum of 3 hours a day for the past 16 or so years. My typing speeds have been measured in varying tests for work and school, the lowest coming in at 138 about 4 years ago, and middling out about 6 months ago at 154. The highest I've scored on any reliable test was 157 last year. Typing speeds like mine aren't all that uncommon. Certainly not as much as they used to be. Nothing special, I just type a lot. I find it much weirder that people find fast typing unlikely. It's kind of creepy chatting with someone like that through him. I spend like 15 seconds deciding how to phrase and typing out "Did you like that one movie that came out last week?" And about 5 seconds later they respond with, "Yeah, it was better than I expected. I mean, it still wasn't the greatest movie I've seen, but I guess I'd recommend it to someone who likes that genre." It's like I'm talking to a bot. I might be that bot guy. To be fair though, it's just as annoying when the other person takes 5 minutes to type okay. To be a dispatcher for home hearing fuel in Juneau, Alaska, and when I meet people I'd say, "Oh, you live such and such street." I'd get an uncomfortable silence from them and have to tell them, "We deliver your oil." I work. Former garbage man here. Yup. Strike up a conversation with someone at a bar once who I absolutely fucking hated as a customer. These rotten pieces of shit would throw food and refuse straight into a can that I couldn't put on a tipper, meaning I have to pick up and dump 200 lbs of bullshit 6 feet in the air and dump by hand. As soon as I heard his last name I repeated the first and his address. That asshole knew. He knew. He had seen me throw that goddamned can into the middle of his yard on more than one occasion when I had rotten garbage juice running down the back of my neck because he was too lazy, stupid or cheap to use a fucking bag. I asked him politely to use a goddamn garbage bag or two and left it at that. And he did. Edit. Wanted to add, I'm a former garbage man. That job is hell. Remembering things about a person from a few months/years ago when the person herself can't remember about it. You just look like a stalker and it's frustrating. Small details and remembering them for months. My friends are always like, "How did you possibly remember that?" Remembering someone else's schedule. I've had people get a little freaked out when I ask how specific appointment/task is going, when I remember them telling me about it days prior. Not me, but someone I know once mentioned to me back in their high school days they were suspected of being a snitch because they would always be inclined to leave right before the bust happened. It wasn't that the guy was a snitch. He'd say that sometimes he just got a feeling, or he knew when a party was just dead. Some sorta sixth sense for this. Every time he got around to leaving, his buddies would usually follow suit, since they were usually the ones dealing anyways. Being a very persuasive salesperson. If someone is too convincing, I just assume they are trying to scam me. Being persuasive can involve hiding the fact that you're being convinced. Yup, if you feel like they are trying to persuade you they are not doing a good job. Running in high heels. Dudes that can run well in high heels have nothing to hide at that point. Somehow the first image that popped into my head was Terry Crews in a wig, yelling "out of the way, motherfuckers." Knife sharpening. Unless you're a chef. Edit. Yes, I get it. People butchers too. I once unnerved the roommate when she walked into the kitchen and saw me casually humming while sharpening my big fuck off chef's knife. What? I just want to maintain my big fuck off chef's knife and chop garlic more efficiently. Seriously. I hate using dull knives so much. It shouldn't feel like cutting down a tree with a handsaw. People. Whistling. I can whistle the Android text tone and it freaks people out. I look at license plates. I don't know why, but it's every day for me. But for some reason I pretty much had a license plate of the girl I liked memorized. It was easy to remember, and we worked the same place together every day, so I saw it at. One time I almost slipped and said, "Hey, where are you driving out in today?" and almost mentioned that the truck's license plate looked just like hers. Locating children. I read that as lactating. That's not better. An incidental combination of being a gearhead and at one time a tow truck driver. I'm a little more observant when it comes to cars than most. I also have a knack for numbers and memorize things unintentionally. I stop mentioning to people that I saw their car somewhere or other. The movies, for example. It's awkward explaining that I know your plate and can spot your POS. Sentra from across the parking lot. Removing clothes off of an uncooperative toddler. Have a seat over here. Till Reddit thinks that lockpicking is an everyday skill. Thank you for watching Reddit Studio. Subscribe and leave a like please.